Welcome to Your Next Chapter, where we spotlight the creators shaping the future of podcasting. I'm Jeremiah Tittle, founder and CEO of Next Chapter Podcasts, and we're turning our attention this season to how live events are shaping the next chapter of the podcast industry. As someone dreaming up a podcast event in Ibiza, a place I've been based for the last year and a half, I'm excited to sit down with others in the industry to explore what's possible when audio meets real-life connection. My guests today are Vivien Schütz and Laura Rojas Aponte. They are two of the organizers of Audio Spice, a collective hosting free sound-focused events for New York City creatives. Laura and Vivien are both experienced audio producers in their own right. Laura's the lead producer for The Moment. Maybe you've heard of it. It's a show from Radio Ambulante Studios and iHeartRadio. And Vivien is an independent audio producer whose work has been featured on German Public Radio, NPR, Transom, and many more. Welcome to Your Next Chapter, Vivien and Laura. Thanks so much for joining me.
It's nice to, since you're based in Hawaii, it's like so nice to talk to you because my mind is like, oh, it's now warm. Since Vivien and I are in Brooklyn, it's like, oh yeah, you're bringing the warmth.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, I hope to warm people's hearts and not just, the temperature. I'll try my best when I'm coming to the East Coast after this interview. But I'd love to start off with the origins of Audio Spice. Vivien, you're one of the original founding members. Take us back to when it was being founded in 2023. What gap in the New York audio scene were you and your co-founders trying to fill? I'm curious.
So I was still kind of new to New York City, or newish. I came here from Germany like end of 2019. And I was trying to find, my people, my audio people. And it was hard. Being a freelancer, working from home, not being from this country. And so I volunteered here and there, for example, at the On Air Festival. And that's where I met Max. Then the pandemic hit. And then Max reached out to me and was like, and that was in like 2023, like, do you want to like start a group, like an audio group? Because at this point there was only Radio Club. And even Radio Club was like getting smaller and smaller. And it was a great timing because exactly at this time, I was also thinking about like starting something with my friend Avery, because I felt this like need to connect with others and I wanted to make something happen. And so it was perfect when he reached out and I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, what do you have in mind? And he had a friend, Nishant. And so we met for, a coffee. We talked. I brought on Avery. And then we also like asked around, like we have this like email list. What are people looking forward to? What are they missing? And from there we like built and tried things. And now it's 2026 and we are still doing it.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I loved it. What was non-negotiable from the get-go? I'm curious, like what principles or values you were like, we're not going against this. This is what we stand for. I'm curious. What was important early on?
So we didn't start off as like, oh, this is what we are, this is not what we are, and this is what we want. It was kind of very organic of like, we want to bring people together. We don't know exactly what format this would be, but let's, just start it and see how it feels and if people like resonate with it. But one thing for sure was like, we did not want that this feels like a networking event. We really wanted to bring people together. We wanted them to have fun. We wanted to have fun. We wanted to create a space where people feel comfortable and not so self-conscious, where people don't feel awkward, where we facilitate it so that people have a chance to like interact without being like, hello, my name is, who are you? Like there's something playful that we wanted. And then along the way, we like started to see like, okay, what is it exactly what we are trying to achieve? And like, what is the vibe that we are going for? And we like defined it more and more. So that was a very like gradual process. It was very organic of like experimenting and then seeing like, yes, this is what we stand for. This is what we want.
Oh, I love that. Wait, I have on on our team, Alex Scheffert is our strategic partnerships lead. She comes from Germany, near Stuttgart, and has shared with us the importance of audio storytelling and narrative in radio and radio plays, etc., that were really important to her childhood upbringing. So I have a good base of knowledge, maybe, of the German market from her. I'd love to hear from you as well, but I also want to bring in Laura to the conversation. That maybe we can kick off a question to you is maybe could you share a little bit of your roots? And I don't know if there's some Latin roots in audio, radio, podcasting, etc., that have kind of inspired you as a first question, if you wouldn't mind.
I was born and raised in Colombia, Bogota. Moved to New York City 3 years ago. And when I started making podcasts, it was like I was extremely young, haven't even graduated college. And so I started doing this thing that felt new and exciting. And the first podcast I launched quickly got thousands of listens. And it was featured in the local press as this new thing that you would be able to listen to. This new thing called podcasting. And so imagine you're young, you're a college student, your work gets featured in the newspapers. It's like it was thrilling. And so from that moment on, I started to build my career in this exciting new medium. And then before I knew it, 10 years have passed. I'm still extremely young, but I felt like after the pandemic, I was wondering what's next for me? Because I love growing, I love learning, Vivien can testify. And I felt like the next step was New York City, a city that I knew I loved, that I knew podcasting was very vibrant here. Even if sometimes my colleagues don't share that feeling, I still feel like you can go to a podcasting event every week if you want to. And that for me felt like a gift. And so that's how I ended up here today. Long story short, I work for Radio Ambulante Studios, which is this production company that for 15 years have been serving US Latinos and Latin American audiences, first independently, then as part of NPR, now in partnership with iHeartMedia. And what we do is just tell stories that are universal to people from Latin American descent, but they end up being universal because they are so good. And I'm biased, but they are also so good. And right now I work for this show that is called The Moment, in which we try to make sense of the really rapid changing times we are living through in this country that are just baffling. I don't know how it was for you guys, but January felt like a century. And I think that's like the times that we're living in. And I have the honor of working in a podcast that is trying to make sense of that. Now, I joined Audio Spice last year after being such a fan of their events and just trying to make time to go to every one of them. It was this sense of joy and connection. And then, I don't know, last year, one of the founding members had to leave. And if life gives you lemons, I took the chance to be part of the team.
So, Vivien, just to follow up on, I teed you up before asking Laura that question, but I don't know if you would mind sharing maybe some of the German roots and kind of confirming or denying, and kind of maybe how you ended up in Brooklyn too.
Yeah, so I, in the beginning, did not see myself in radio. I thought I would end up in TV. I studied journalism, and I thought more like newspaper or TV. But then I ended up at the university radio station. And after this experience, I thought, okay, radio is not for me because it was so fast paced. Every day you put out a piece that is maybe 2 minutes long. I felt like there's no depth to it. It's not for me. And then I discovered, which is a big thing in Germany, long form documentaries. And also at the same time, through an internship, I discovered Serial, and I was kind of hooked because I felt oh, this is exactly what I want to do, like this like long form type of journalism. And so I found my way back to like radio podcasting. And I also really like and enjoy listening to fiction and also creating like fictional documentary style stories. And so now I'm doing a blend of those. Like I'm moving between like journalism and art, like long form documentary, short form fiction, nonfiction. And yeah, then because of my husband, I'm now in the US.
It's a love migration.
It's a love migration, yes.
I'm familiar. My wife is actually German, so she's from Leipzig.
Oh, so you do speak perhaps some German?
I speak zero German. Her papi just came to visit, and his English is so much better than my German.
Oh, that's impressive that he speaks, because my parents don't speak English. So,
wow, okay, very interesting. This is we could go so many different directions in this conversation, but I do want to, since our theme is kind of these live events, I wanted to double click and go a little deeper into Audio Spice. I mean, I'm just curious, one thing that sets Audio Spice apart is that no two events are quite the same, as I understand it, right? I'm just wondering, why is that variety important to you?
It's important to us. That's it. It's like, no, because you were asking about the non-negotiables at the beginning.
Yeah.
And what happened perhaps last year, 6 or 7 months ago, is that we sat down, the 3 members of Audio Spice, and we were like, okay, now we have some information, we have experience. Now, with that experience, what are our values today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a smart way to distinguish yourself from other gatherings in New York City. But it's also like a calling from the soul, because you need clarity within your organization. And some things were strategic, and some others were as simple as, because we like it. We want Audio Spice to be joyful, because it is also space for joy for us, the members of Audio Spice. And with this particular case, why is each event different? I think it's just because we enjoy it.
And we also just like to experiment.
But some other guiding principles are more strategic. Right, Vivien?
Yeah, I mean, I want to add to that. We have some events that keep happening in one form or other. Like, for example, we have this like Sonic Salon, which means it's like a community skill share that we have done a few times. We have done like audio trivia also a few times. So there's some sort of like kind of a repetitive element, but within that, we also still try to like make something a little bit different, go one step further, try out more, be more playful with it. But I like also this adventure of like thinking, like, even when it comes to the venue, we don't have like one venue and we always do it there. It's like always a different location, just to like, spice it up, to mix it up, to have different places so that, not only people in Brooklyn like have it easy, but also, then we try to do it also in Manhattan or in Queens, although most of our events end up being in Brooklyn. And we try, to collaborate with other organizations, see how they are doing it, and like combine both of our powers. So, and I just think it's like fun to also a little bit reinvent ourselves, always a little bit, still following our like guidelines.
I love that. That's your events are also described as quote unquote sound focused. I'm just wondering what that actually means in practice. How do you do that?
So I would say the core is sound. For example, yesterday we danced in the dark to music. So that's like kind of like, if we say the core sound, like that's a little bit further away, so to speak. And then others are like very sound based. Like, for example, we do a listening event, right? And it's all about the sound, all about the listening. And the dancing is a little bit more loose, but still connected. And so, or we did like one event, one of our first events, which was fun, was like we had a piñata. We filled the piñata with prompts. We hit the piñata, with eyes closed in a garden, in a backyard. And then based on these like little prompts, we made pieces. So then we like ask people to like play with sounds. So it's always centered around this. And sometimes we move a little bit further away and sometimes we stay closer to this. And it allows us also freedom.
But also we are audio producers, right?
Yes.
So it makes sense to, our own community.
Yeah, no, it's really, you two seem like so much fun, and I can't wait to experience my first Audio Spice event after this, especially incorporating dance into this as well. Like, that's so up my alley. I love that.
Yeah. Before we romanticize it too much, I should say it is a challenge because some of our events are like, smashing success in terms of attendees. And it's like, wow, everyone dig this one. And then we go into the next event with the expectation that we're going to have the same level of people coming. And boop, maybe the next concept didn't resonate as much. And so we enjoy the flexibility of it. And we're also learning to navigate it so that people kind of trust Audio Spice regardless of the activity. Because it's also, it can feel like an open invitation, right? Like you don't know what the next one is going to be. And so that's like a line we're learning to navigate. I think that's one of our experiments for 2026.
I love that. Oh, that's such a unique approach. And I see why people really enjoy attending and interacting and being a part of it. I was just going to ask you a little bit about the unglamorous part of what you do, the logistics. How do you go about securing venues in New York? Obviously, there's a ton of them. They're not free always, unless you're adding some value there, perhaps. I'm just curious. Yeah, what about the budget? But you do keep events free. So I'm just wondering how you make that sustainable.
I'll break it to you. Our budget is 0. Another challenge for 2026. So often, this is not from the event world, but from podcasting. I've launched a number of podcasts that I'm forgetting now, from small to big. And I feel like the first stage tends to be, can we do this? Is this doable? And then the second stage tends to be growth. And then often the third stage is like, okay, you'll see a return on the investment. And I'm talking especially about independent indie podcasts, right? And I'm projecting that to Audio Spice, in which I feel like for the last 3 years, we've proven the concept. We've proven that people really enjoy getting together in community with your colleagues, but make it fun and make it honest connection. And now I'm hoping to get into phase 3, in which we start to see some return on this investment of time, energy, and love. And so we have some partnerships in the works for 2026. And I'm really hoping, and the one that it's always bringing up money, but I'm really hoping this year is the year we see that bank account go up. It's never unglamorous.
Great answer.
But there is a lot of hard work, and a lot of late nights, and being like Sunday, 10:30 a.m. on Google Docs, being like,
It's all about the little things and the details, right? At the end. I mean, it starts always with like, what do we want to see? What do we want to experience? But also like, what do people might like long for? What's urgent right now? And then we talk about like, what's the purpose? How are we framing this? So we go from like bigger picture, and then it goes into like the little details of like, what is the perfect space that like works with what we are trying to do. And so we have collaborated with, different like podcast studios, for example. We always like a very like cozy vibe. And for example, Good Studio has like this really nice like light and like sofas, and you feel like you're not at a podcast studio. You're more in like a cool, hip living room. So they are like a great partner, and they invite us there. And so it's like a free space, and they get, a lot of audio people into their space that maybe potentially, want a service later on. So that's like a nice kind of like collaboration. Or, other like studios like Silver Sound, where it's kind of like they give us their space, and we bring in some people. Or Bravo Studio, right? We did like a panel about like, Audio Spice reluctantly talks video podcasting. And so, we knew there's a lot of like negative energy around that. And, we are also not so sure how we feel about this. So we thought like, let's make this a thing. Let's invite people who, have to say something about this, who have some experience, and make it a panel, but not a traditional panel. Let's make this more of like a community therapy session where we, work things out together, where people can speak their mind. And Bravo Studio, for example, has this amazing like space that like elevated this and made it like super fun. So that's like super like nice. And that's all about like, reaching out, going to other events, then seeing this venue and then asking them like, can we make this work? Of course, in New York, a lot of places want a lot of money, or they say they have certain like, rules that then people have to spend a certain amount on like drinks. And then that's of course tricky for us because we never know the outcome. We don't know how many people will attend, and we don't want to, spend money, so much money, and then sit on this like debt, so to speak. So we are always trying to like find partners who are into what we are doing and then make it work. And yeah, we talk a lot about like, the details of like what do we want to maybe do different this time, or like, how do we frame it? What little gimmick could we do? How can we like gather a little bit differently? What could be special? How could we make this not like so like you have maybe the first idea, but then let's go a little bit deeper. And then it's great if we brainstorm together, and there's always, some idea where you're like, can we do this? Maybe we can. Let's try.
With Bravo, we were like, oh, they were like such a dream partner. And then as a team, we reached out and they wanted to host this. And they wanted to do crazy things, and they wanted to go the extra mile. And it was a lot of work. And then after the event, they seemed happy to have hosted, even though it was a lot of effort, right? And so, yes, it can be tricky, but it can also be really fulfilling. And those are the best partners when it's fulfilling for both parts.
Beyond that, and it was super helpful to have an understanding of kind of how it works. And I'm just wondering, maybe before I tell you about my event and get some advice from you, if you don't mind, I was going to ask you about the future of Audio Spice and what's next for Audio Spice in 2026. What goals do you have? What excites you about the future?
We have like ideas for like specific events, but there's also like, whenever we like, there's like different ways to like approach the year now, where we can, plan one event, then it's done. We plan the next one, but it's also fun to have like an arc where they are kind of connected, maybe the events. We want to have this like variety. So like thinking ahead of like, okay, how can we, have events that have like a nice distinctive vibe. But like also maybe like some sort of series of events, where also the same people might come up and we co-create something. So that's a possibility. I read this book, The Art of Gathering, by Priya Parker, and there she talks about like building a spider web. So like, everyone has like a string that comes off their wrist, and some threads are weaker, some are stronger. And I really like this image of like connecting each other and like really on a deeper level connecting and maybe working together. And so I could see that, how we creating like an Audio Spice web, so to speak, and come closer to each other and support each other. So that's something I could see. And just like more ambitious projects, maybe. When it comes to growth, the question is always, is it about like reaching more people, or is it more about reaching, like having like regulars because I prefer personally when it's like the same people, like new people, but also the same people coming back so that you can form this connection over time. And so, yeah, it's, we have a lot.
Yeah, and there is also the question of where Audio Spice fits within the larger industry.
Mhm.
We have an industry that saw such a boom during the pandemic. Remember the numbers in 2020, and now it seems to be shrinking. It seems to be moving forward to video. It seems to be having an affair with short films. It's an industry that is changing. Many people are getting part-time jobs in other cultural industries. And so how do we stand with our sound-focused events, give people a chance to connect to audio storytelling and audio creation in general, and are very conscious that our playground is transitioning into something new? What can we bring to that transition that is helpful, that connects us, that is like meaningful in the context? Those very interesting questions. We have a meeting in 3 days. Hopefully we'll tackle some of them. Like a long team meeting. Yeah. JT, what are you organizing in New York City? What is in the books for you?
The event, we're doing just something small with On Air Fest in New York, but and I don't know how big this will be, but the dream or the idea that I've been dreaming up in Spain. I've been spending a lot of time in Ibiza for the last year and a half, and I've connected with some other podcasters there, mostly British, but a mix of people from different backgrounds. And what I've cobbled together a couple of people who have aligned interests in a podcast conference. And I don't know if that begins as a retreat, something small, as a kind of meetups that like transform and evolve and snowball into like a bigger event. But the idea is to have more of a destination, like people have destination weddings. The idea would be like a destination podcast conference. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I have been going the last 2 years to the London podcast show in London. I'm going to go again this May. So just trying to meet the international folks that care about podcasting as much as I do, and find, especially on that island, because music is it's bread and butter. You know, it's the most important thing on Ibiza. So the idea that the spoken word and storytelling and podcasting, which is happening there, it's just not known for it, to create an event for those people that care about that, to either enough to come or that already live there maybe. So really my first question, would love to get your reactions of that, but also what questions should I be asking myself at this stage in terms of live events? And I'm sure there's so many things I'm not thinking of, so I'd love your advice.
First off, I feel like every conference for me is a destination conference.
Okay.
Like so often you have to travel. You know, the podcast movement is in different city every year. Even the podcast movement evolutions, it's in a different city. 2 years ago, I went to Spain for a Estación podcast in Madrid.
Ooh.
I know the vibe is very different, but I would be curious to see how Estación podcast is different than the podcasting fest in Ibiza. And when I was there in Estación, I would meet up with colleagues that I haven't seen in years from the US, even from other parts of Europe, from Mexico, even because I live in the US. I was meeting up with colleagues from Colombia, and it was like so joyful to be there in Madrid, but being able to kind of connect to my community, which is international at this point. And then you go to Resonate and you have to travel to Richmond. So it's like, I love it. And at the same time, I'm honestly wondering, how is it different than traveling to a conference, which is what we often do, right? Yeah. What's your concept?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be redundant with the music industry, which already has at least one, or if not multiple, music industry conferences, but Should it be music adjacent? Should it have nothing to do with music? A really big DJ, Seth Troxler, has started his own video podcast in the last year, and one of my collaborators helped outfit his studios there in Ibiza. So she's been giving a lot of guidance, which is great, because she's been on the island for more than a decade, carrying the torch for podcasting there. And so the concept is going to depend on a couple other stakeholders that also are involved, potential partners that we're still figuring out. But yeah, I think it's the idea would be to take a place that is as storied as Ibiza with, it was like the Moors were, for many centuries, just like a lot of Spain had control. And there's just a lot of history of the island beyond just the club going British people who come, and you know what I mean? So it's like, how do we capture some of that place as part of it? Like, do we have like a hiking trip or some kind of like healthy things that we could add to it, in addition to really championing like the storytelling and the spoken word, and creating like a cool place for maybe Americans to come visit as well. Make that event podcasting centric, but then not to ignore kind of the location as well.
I see. So it would be like creating a space for people who are already there, but maybe they want this particular corner of like gathering and entertainment. And also it would be a destination for you as Americans that maybe we're thinking about going to Spain anyways. And it's like, oh, this is an extra motivation to go to Ibiza, in which you can find music, great food, amazing weather, and this storytelling event or this audio-focused event. Oh, I see.
Yeah, I think because you asked for like questions that you potentially could ask yourself at this point, is kind of one that comes to mind is like, yeah, how conference-y is it supposed to be versus festival? Mm-hmm. What could be... What kind of vibe are you going for? And also, what do you want to feel people afterwards? Like, what kind of is the feeling that people should have at the end? And I think kind of like, yeah, what do you want to get out of this for people and for you? And then once you answer this, it can lead you in like the next steps, and also the building blocks. Like when you just mentioned, you might want to hiking, because I personally always like at a conference/festival, if there's like inspiring elements, there's also something where you learn something, but there's also some downtime where you can like meet others. And it's not just like, oh, what music or podcast are you working on? But like where you maybe do something that is connected with audio, but still kind of loose. And then the question is like, how much do you want to lean into that versus like more in this, like, we want to like showcase a lot versus we want to like really educate, or we want to make people do something. Yeah. Those are things that come to mind.
Yeah. Great questions. Just so you know, you brought up Resonate, but I had Choki on, and he said like really leverage the space. And I loved your reaction to this, but it kind of is pertinent. It's connected to kind of what you said. Leverage the space and maybe go with something super small, like a retreat as a starting point. So maybe a hike wouldn't be such a foreign concept in that environment, or yoga or something else that could be offered. That is like a connecting community event, as opposed to just kind of the, like you said, how conference-y. I love that. I'm going to use that, Vivien. How conference-y do you want the thing to be versus kind of I'm getting away from the world to rethink my next podcast, or whatever that getting away from a big city like New York City might benefit. You want to just think big picture about stuff, perhaps.
Just make sure to send an invite.
Yes. It's coming, Laura. It's coming your way, I promise.
Also, have you heard of like the Hearsay Festival? It's not happening currently, and I was never able to attend like there. I was just there for like a virtual version of it, and even that was a lot of fun. and very thoughtful. And what I think is super special about this is that they are not just like having a space and, people come together and they are inspired and meet others. They really kind of, from what I understand, work with the people who live there. So people like stay in a tent, or they stay with one of the people, like the locals, right? Or there's like some cooking that is connected with sound, but the people who cook it are like people from this like small town. So it's really like a town affair, so to speak. It's not just like these all you people coming like aliens and like taking over. It's really kind of, and it's a small place, but they decided to really like connect those worlds together, which I don't know how much you're interested in that, if you want to kind of have it very like isolated, or you really want to like open it up. But I thought this was also kind of very interesting about this particular festival, that they open it so much and like connect it with the townspeople.
Or like the High Festival that originated in the UK, but now it has like events in Colombia, Peru, Mexico, but it's in small cities, right? So Arequipa, Cartagena, I forgot the city in Mexico. Slipping my mind. So interesting. And now I see it because it's like a festival for a small town, and yeah, like resonate. I see it. Again, cool. Can't wait to be invited.
Can't wait to invite you. Yeah, it's penciled in for October, but this is something that I haven't mentioned on the podcast just yet, but that there is a group sort of organizing. I hope. I know it's going to take some more effort, and I'll be back in Spain in about a month to be able to make some headway, hopefully, on that. But I'm really so pleased that the two of you said yes to joining me, and that we could not just spotlight Audio Spice, but also get your advice, because I've never done anything like this before. So, I also have to be emotionally disciplined to being willing to walk away and not doing it if it turns out that I'm just not cut out for it, or we don't have the team for it, or maybe it'll take a while. But I just really appreciate, you being candid and helping me brainstorm and giving me more the DNA of not just your own, kind of purpose and career and passion for this space, but also what you've built and what you're nurturing in this community. I really appreciate you both joining me. And I just would close out here by saying thank you for listening to this episode of Your Next Chapter. I'm your host, JT, Jeremiah Tittle. Our executive producer is Emily Reeves. This is edited by Justin Cortese, and we drop episodes bi-weekly. Please follow the show, and thank you so much for listening. Thanks for joining me, Vivien and Laura.
Thank you.